Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. This is my market look ahead segment, and I think it's an important one. I want to talk about a bunch of things with you as well, and you and I are not going to lose. I can promise you that. So here we go. Let's set the stage for what's going on here. We have a market that is propelling higher on the back of hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars that are being poured into the debt market right now, hyper inflating this debt bubble on a Federal Reserve that has gone beyond nuclear, along with other world central banks. Again, this is the end game. You know that. The bubble to end all bubbles. That's what this one is. I don't think there's another way to look at it. But anyway, so what does this mean for several assets moving forward, even moving into this week? Seriously. So with regard to the stock market, I don't see a single obstacle in the way of this market not continuing higher. New record highs this week, I think, has a very high probability. Now, you all understand, if you follow this blog, the importance of crude oil here. Again, what is crude oil? It is the lifeblood of the military-industrial complex. The entire energy sector depends on what's going on with crude oil, and the financial sector, which the investments in crude oil by the investment banks is truly mind-blowing. So they will not allow crude to fall. Every time you see crude fall, they prop it up. On Friday, for almost no reason at all, crude oil went up 3.5%. This trend, in my view, if it's kept going, will put a fire under the stock market. There's also another factor here, the dollar. Look, by the Federal Reserve pumping hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars into the debt market, creating cash out of thin air, this has a dilutionary effect on the currency, will weaken the dollar. Again, look, why has the dollar continued to strengthen lately? Because, again, if we look at the global spectrum of currencies, it's still seen as a safe haven. The world is slowing down. The United States is not immune to this. We have entire sectors of our economy that are in contraction. You barely hear about it. We're not making things anymore. Our entire manufacturing sector is a dead man walking. That's the truth. And no amount of propping up is going to help. Let me explain this to you a little further. What it seems like, actually, this is not even the case, but this is what I think certain people are believing, that trickle-down economics works. Trickle-down economics does not work. Again, the job of the bought and paid for government that we have from the top down and the Federal Reserve is to empower corporate America. It has nothing to do with the American people at all. We have lost. This is not a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's completely for the corporate America and the military-industrial complex. Now, it should seem clear to you that our president believes that by these corporations reaping windfall profits, it will trickle down. It's not happening. We need to empower the people. You understand? It has to go from the bottom up, not the top down. That's a fact. If you don't believe that, then maybe you can explain to me why our economy is in free fall and the market keeps going higher. Again, puppet president, puppet representatives across the board. There is one party. There is no such thing as the two-party system. If you're still buying into that, if you believe that this impeachment inquiry is real, you are lost. It's all about keeping you off balance, keeping people polarized. It's not real. They work together to keep people divided so they can conquer them. Once you understand the dynamics of the reality that you are in, everything will become clear to you. Okay? So, again, puppet government being run by the banks, period. Now, their job is to force more cash into the stock market by suppressing rates, robbing the middle class blind, forcing them to subsidize the entire stock market. And let me tell you, it is working in a big way. And it's going to continue for a while. Again, it's the plan here. Inflate, 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 and then when nobody expects it, whammo, wealth transfer. This is not new. I'm not conjuring this out of my head here. We've seen this time and time again at the top of every bubble. Not only that, we hear the same rhetoric. Everything is great. Things couldn't be better. Expect this to happen. Expect that. Then all of a sudden, whammo, catches everybody off guard. Because why? The puppet mainstream financial channels are all pushing the same narrative. They get people brainwashed, but believe me, look, I talk to everyone. I know people who work at every single major bank on Wall Street. I know all the guys on CNBC. I talk to most of them. Believe me, I'm going to let you all in on a secret here. The guys on CNBC, they don't believe what they're saying. Understand that. They don't believe what they're saying. They're reading a script, they're being told what to do, and they're being paid a lot to do it. This guy, I don't care if they offered me $1 million a day to lie to you. $10 million a day. I wouldn't take it. I don't need the money. I don't want it. Seriously. I would give more money away. I give a lot of money away to charities. That's the truth. Anyway, let's get back on track here. Let's go back to some other assets here. The dollar. I was talking about the dollar getting stronger before I went off on a little bit of a tangent here. This will not continue. At one point here, as the dollar continues to be diluted by a runaway Federal Reserve, by a president who continues to scream louder and louder that the dollar is too strong, but refuses to explain how that will help you, how weakening the dollar will help you. They should again, understand what we're talking about here. One-party system. Working towards one goal. The world is run by the banks. Period. So, if the dollar gets hit moving forward, which it will, right now it's still, like I said, it's a safe haven asset, but the dollar is going to get diluted. This is very positive for precious metals, very positive for gold, very positive for silver, and it's positive for cryptocurrencies as well. No doubt about it. In my view, we have incredible and this should be no secret to you, suppression across the board with regard to the price action of gold, silver. Platinum and palladium are right in there as well. They can't allow these assets to seem like they're competing with King Dollar. Understand, look at Congress, look at the president, stay out of cryptocurrencies. They don't want you in gold either. They don't want you in silver. You must stay in the dollar. This should tell you something. They're both working towards the same goal. Very simple to understand. So, anyway, moving forward into this week here, expect stocks to gain. If they can push crude higher, expect stocks to gain substantially, okay? If they manage to hit the dollar, which I think is their end goal here. I mean, it's the end goal of the president who keeps calling for a weaker dollar. Look, for all of you that are stuck in the two-party paradigm that believe President Trump is the anointed one, I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, but just Google it. Does the president want a weak dollar? That's all he talks about. I'm not putting down the president. I'm using his own words. I'm explaining to you what the president is saying. And the president is 100% correct. The weaker dollar is a boon for, or it is very positive for corporate America. Corporate America, also known as the military-industrial complex, for which you are being forced to subsidize. Okay? President can't tell you that. But those of us that have a few functioning brain cells understand it does not matter What creature sits in the pretty White House whatsoever? I don't care if it was a trained monkey sitting in the White House. There would still be some that believe that that trained monkey was the savior, was the one that was going to change the world and was going to end the Fed. This is what they would believe. But again, these are the programmed individuals, the ones that cannot think outside the box whatsoever. They must put their hope in an individual or a trained monkey instead of understanding that the power resides in we, the people. But we, the people, have been divided and conquered, and this still goes on. We could take this entire system down, I explained to you, in less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour. If the people in this nation were to just make a run on one major bank, it would end it all right there. The system would become ours. But they got everyone in line exactly where they're supposed to be, like sheep. Being led to the slaughter. There's no doubt about it. We could end the Fed today if we had a real leader who would strip the Federal Reserve of their one single power. Their Achilles heel is their ability to issue debt. If we had a president who was calling for raising rates instead of lowering rates and pushing this, sure, the stock market would take a hit. The military-industrial complex would take a hit. Won't be allowed to happen. If we were to strip the power, the ability of the central banks around the world to continue to issuing more and more debt, we would win. We could win in a day. Won't happen. Won't happen. All we would need is a bank run on one major bank around the world, or even if it would start in one nation, like here in the United States, we could take down the system in less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour. Won't happen. And again, if we had a real leader, which we will never have because it doesn't matter who sits in the White House, if it was the trained monkey, and if they were to start admitting that we are all slaves to the central banks around the world, and the only way to take away their power is to stop issuing debt. Again, think about it. They issue debt. Where does the debt come from that we're paying that debt back with? Well, they issue that too. It's a vicious cycle. It's a loop. And in order to break that loop, we have to take away their power. We don't need a mystical plan to inflate the debt and then some kind of a dog shit reset. The reset is going to be a collapse of this charade Ponzi scheme on a global scale. And we are going to see a loss of life, human life, on a biblical scale. When this all comes down, again, it all plays in together. It's a control mechanism. You know that. Once they burst the bubble here in the debt market, and the debt market is being hyperinflated right now, Federal Reserve, hundreds of trillions being put into the debt markets. This is not just the Federal Reserve. There are hundreds of central banks around the world, and they got you by the throat. There is a boot on your throat. You don't even know there is, most of you. If you follow this blog, you're very clear on that. But most people have no idea that there is a boot on their throat, and they smile as that boot gets pushed harder into their windpipe and cuts off their ability to breathe. And they smile while it's happening because, again, they've been divided, they've been conquered. I will never surrender. They can take my life first. I can promise you that. There's no way. All right, anyway, with that said, so I think I pretty much outlined this for you, where we're going, what's going to happen, how we can win, and if we can, honestly, look, my channel is pretty big. I got, 95,000? If we were to times this by 10 somehow, maybe we could get enough people together to actually pull something off. But I'm too small right now. We really need, I need all of you, seriously, to help me grow this channel. You're all part of my team. This isn't my thing. We are all lions, whether we trade this market or not. If you're sitting here and you've sat through this entire video and you've caught this to the end, consider yourself a raging lion. And I guarantee you're feeling your blood boil. And we can make a difference, but we need to get more numbers here. How do we do that? We start talking about it. We start pushing our agenda, which is rebellion. We need a freaking revolution in this country. You know that. We need to rebel against these central banks, against the bought and paid for government. We have to understand that the power resides in us, in you, and in me. Once we establish that as a fact, that's when we win. Until that time, we lose. Anyway, share this video. Get it out there, people. I love all of you. That's the truth. See you in the morning.